Today, we're going to take a little bit of a break from enterprise tech, and we're going to talk about a crypto project that I am super excited about called OMI. Now, we are going to tie this back to enterprise tech and talk about a little bit about how it ties back with what Microsoft's doing with the Metaverses, what NVIDIA is doing with Omniverses. So there's still a connection there. Stay with me. This is going to be fun. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. My name's Elias Khnaser, and today we're going to answer the question, why am I so excited about the crypto project OMI? Now, full disclosure before we get started, I own 10 million OMI tokens, so I am definitely going to be biased. However, I'm going to try to give you the facts based on the research that I did and why I got so excited about OMI, and let you be the judge of whether or not it's even an interesting project for you to look at. Now, again, full disclosure, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is all in the spirit of having a little bit of fun with crypto, with NFTs, with the Metaverses, the Omniverses, and everything else that's going on around us today. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment below, hit the notification bell so that you are alerted the next time I upload a video. So what is OMI? OMI is the cryptocurrency of the company ECOMI, which licenses premium digital collectibles and has its own marketplace where you can essentially buy and sell NFTs. Eli, more acronyms. What does NFT stand for? NFT stands for non-fungible token, which is a unique digital asset that uses the blockchain to establish immutable ownership over digital assets. Oh gosh, Eli, isn't that just a JPEG or a 3D object that I can essentially right-click and save? Sure, but we can say that about pretty much anything. If you took a picture of the Bill of Rights, that has really no value. It's not authentic, right? If you took a picture of the Mona Lisa and printed it out and hung it in your home, it's still going to be a fake and worth nothing, right? What is unique here with NFTs is that you're using the blockchain to establish authenticity and to establish ownership. Now, because these NFTs are on the blockchain, you can add a lot of metadata to them. So you're using this essentially third-party independent blockchain to establish authenticity and to establish ownership. And what makes something unique and valuable? It's authenticity. It's knowing that this is authentic by the manufacturer, by the designer, by the person, entity, organization that created it. So for those of you that don't believe in NFTs today, I would say take a break, take a breather. Let's think back at our history and look at the things that we probably didn't expect, we didn't see coming, right? So for example, if I were to tell my dad, if I had told my dad 20 years ago that today he would be selling more goods on Amazon.com and on his website using e-commerce, he would have thought I was joking. He actually did think I was joking. But today, someone like my dad that owns a restaurant, that owns a bakery, that sells these goods online, it's funny that he sells more online than he sells at his store. And the same thing applies to these types of things. You should keep an open mind when it comes to NFTs, because although it might not be for our generation, for us, it might be silly. For the next generation, this is going to be where things happen. So don't underestimate it just because it's simple. When you looked at the internet 30 years ago, there was really nothing to do, right? There was a browser up there and you browsed, but there was really no use case for it. There was nothing that we can do from an e-commerce perspective. I still remember the first time I opened the internet, I went to the Louvre and looked at a couple of pictures and got bored a few minutes later. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can get access to all sorts of information, but it wasn't what it is today. Today, anything I want to buy, anything I want to do today, if the internet goes down, there's very limited things to do. I mean, obviously you can go out and do things, but our life is based on the internet. The internet has become the backbone, the critical infrastructure for everything that we do in today's world. So my message here is don't underestimate NFTs just because you don't believe in them, just because you don't see the use case yet. Do not underestimate this and everything else that's going around it. And we'll see how this connects to the Metaverse and the Omniverse and all sorts of things today. But NFTs are definitely happening, and this is where ECOMI comes into play. So to understand the OMI token, to understand why this crypto project is interesting, let's first break down what this is. So there's OMI, the cryptocurrency, that's the token. There's ECOMI, that's the company that essentially publishes this OMI token. And then there's VeVe. VeVe is the platform. It's the marketplace. It's where these NFTs are licensed. It's where they are published. It's where you can buy them. It's where you can sell them. So it's the platform. So when you're thinking of this project, remember to think about it in at least these three dimensions. There's ECOMI, the company. There's VeVe, the platform, the marketplace, the application. And then there's OMI, the token. So why am I so excited about this particular company, in particular, this particular crypto project? I'm not really a huge crypto investor. I dabble in a few things here and there, but it's very limited. My understanding of the space is very limited. My interest in the space is very limited. But OMI was super interesting to me, and it was super interesting to me for a variety of reasons. First of all, whenever I'm looking at a company, I come from a research background, so I have to research the hell out of something, right? But the number one thing that I'm going to look at is, first of all, what makes up the management team? Who is running this company? And what the use case is. My problem with crypto in general is that there's really not a lot of great use cases behind it. Yes, there's smart contracts now with Ethereum and now with Bitcoin and others, but look at something like Dogecoin. Like, what is the use case behind Dogecoin and the rise in Dogecoin other than that Elon Musk tweeted it one of these days, right? But with OMI, it was interesting to me because it was the first time that I actually was able to connect an interesting, intuitive, fresh idea with crypto. So what ECOMI is doing with these licenses is they're going after a lot of these big names, right? So they have Disney as part of their NFTs. There's Marvel, a lot of the Marvel characters, a lot of the Marvel comics. So instead of owning the actual first edition of a Marvel comic book, you can now own the first edition of a digital Marvel comic book. Maybe a first edition, right? You can read it, you can enjoy it on the VeVe platform, but you also own that, and there's a limited number of these drops. There's James Bond, there's Superman, there's Batman. They have a ton of these licenses. And if you look at the white paper that ECOMI published, and I will link it down in the description, you'll see that they're taking over 50% of their revenue and reinvesting it into the acquisition of these premium licenses. If you also look at the quality of the NFTs that they are deploying, premium quality. But the most interesting thing about what VeVe is doing is when they are dropping, when there is a drop for any of these NFTs, good luck getting it, right? These things are selling out in seconds. If you haven't downloaded the VeVe app, go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, download it, and just look at these drops when they become available. Now, when they're becoming available, sometimes they are for $50, $60, whatever it is. But then because they're selling out so quickly, when you go to buy something on the marketplace, it's sometimes above $10,000 to buy this unique NFT. And again, it is fascinating to see that you can't even get in on the drop. The drop lasts seconds. VeVe has also gone from essentially no users to over 1 million users in pretty much less than a year. So super impressive what this team has been able to accomplish. But so here's the kicker. Now, when you look at the management team, again, I will list down in the description the white paper that has all of the different folks that are on this management team. A few people stand out. I'm really super interested in the CEO. He's also the founder, David Yu. So he comes across to me as like a VC guy, someone that knows that they're onto a great idea, someone that's going to build this great idea, and at some point, there's an exit strategy. I mean, I totally expect that from him. He does not come across, at least to me, as someone that's going to be there for the long term and build this huge company. And again, why should he? I believe, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but David Yu is someone that is super interesting to me. The other person that's super interesting to me is someone named Alfred Kahn. Now, Alfred Kahn is responsible for licensing. He's also the person that was responsible for bringing Pokemon and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to North America. So imagine, and maybe we will see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or even Pokemon on the VeVe platform at some point. That on its own will be super huge. If you go back and take a look at the impact that Disney's announcement and Marvel's announcement had on VeVe, it was incredible how many users they had. I mean, they almost crashed the app. Actually, they did crash the app for a little bit of time. So just imagine the addition of something like Pokemon or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's the other person on the team that gives me a lot of faith in their ability to execute, because everything here is about being able to have the right connections, acquiring the right licenses, and then being able to sell these licenses. And so far, their execution has been incredible. There's been hiccups here and there, and it happens with all organizations, but they have been able to execute on this very well. They've been able to increase their user base incredibly well, and it is super exciting to see what they've been able to accomplish to date. Eli, enough NFTs. Let's talk about the OMI token. If it's so great, why is the OMI price so depressed? You've probably already looked up the OMI price. As of this recording, which is December 28th, the OMI price was at 0.0064-ish, right? And if you're wondering, I bought in when the price was even lower. So I bought in when the price was 0.0011-ish, right? So I bought a ton at that price. When everybody was selling at that price point, I bought as much as I could at the time because I honestly fell in love with the project. But why is the price so depressed? Why have you probably never even heard of OMI before? Well, there's a variety of reasons for the price to be low. Let's start off by saying that OMI today is incredibly difficult to acquire. It's available on, I believe, 4 exchanges. These exchanges are not popular exchanges, so you're not talking about Binance or Coinbase or some of these more popular exchanges. It's on a blockchain that's the Go chain, essentially. So in order to acquire OMI today, you have to go through like a 17-step process. So for the average person, it's difficult to acquire. But for those that are interested in the project, for those like me that see the value in this project, this is the right time to buy, right? When everybody doesn't know how to buy it yet, this is the right time to buy. Now, there are changes coming to OMI, which I think is where this price is going to change quite a bit. So after the new year, OMI is going to be moving from the Go chain blockchain to essentially an Ethereum-based blockchain to layer 2 Ethereum. So there's going to be a swap in the OMI tokens, and they've migrated to Immutable X, where these NFTs can now be shared with other platforms. So you are now not going to be restricted to buying and selling these NFTs just on the VeVe platform. You can go to another platform like OpenSea, for example, and also integrate there. The OMI token is going to be significantly more accessible to the average user. They're going to be listing it on more exchanges, more popular exchanges. We don't know which exchanges these are yet, but they are going to be, I personally think OMI is very easily going to get on Coinbase and Binance and potentially others. And that on its own will push the price higher up. The other challenge that is keeping the OMI token essentially depressed from a price perspective is, to date, there's been really no utility. There's been no connection between the OMI token and the VeVe app. So this is an important thing. This is sometimes one of the things that I criticize the OMI team for. But then again, let's talk about it. So today, if you buy anything in VeVe, you don't buy it using OMI, right? You buy it using gems, and a gem is equivalent to $1 or something like that. So there's really no connection between the OMI token and the VeVe app or the business of ECOMI. Now, the business of ECOMI is thriving. They're doing excellent. They're selling out, they're making money, etc. But the coin feels like it is kind of disconnected from everything else that's happening. Well, ECOMI has announced, and there's several blog posts where they're telling us how they're going to make this connection between the OMI token, how they're going to create a utility for this token so that if you're buying NFTs, you can buy them using OMI. Whenever you buy NFTs, it's going to burn OMI. The fewer OMI there is in circulation, the higher the price is going to go. So the connection between the OMI token and this incredible business that they've built is going to start to come into focus after the new year. Now, why haven't they done it so far? Well, if you think about it, and again, I was criticizing them for a while, but this is a startup. Their budgets are also limited. their focus, their development efforts are also limited. There was no point in focusing on creating a meme coin like Dogecoin that has nothing behind it, right? Instead, they focused on the VeVe app, on the actual product. They put all of the development towards that product to where they've got something serious. They've got something real now. They've got an actual business. And now what they're going to do is actually focus on linking the token to this app, burning OMI so that the amount of OMI in circulation is less, and as a result, the price of OMI will go up. Now, NFTs in general, in my opinion, have also a really nice tie-in to all of these metaverses that are getting created. And speaking of metaverses, VeVe is also creating the VeVeverse. So everybody and their grandma is going to have a metaverse. And at some point, these metaverses are going to shake up, and we're going to have a few really solid ones and then a lot of just metaverses, right? So, I mean, we know that Facebook is getting in on the action. We know that Microsoft is getting in on the action. If you haven't heard, and to me, when Microsoft gets in on something, it becomes enterprise tech immediately. For those of you that didn't watch the Ignite 2021 keynote, I'm going to put a couple of clips here from what Satya Nadella essentially talked about the metaverse and actually showed a super cool demo. Watch this for a second.
And finally, as the digital and physical worlds come together, we are creating an entirely new platform layer, which is the Metaverse. We're bringing people, places, and things together with the digital world in both the consumer space as well as in the enterprise. And when we talk about the Metaverse, we're describing both a new platform and a new application type, similar to how we talked about the web and websites in the early 90s. Across the Microsoft Cloud, from Azure IoT to Azure Digital Twins to connected spaces and Microsoft Mesh, we're building the Metaverse intrinsics, the Metaverse platform for you to build upon. In a sense, the Metaverse enables us to embed computing into the real world and to embed the real world into computing, bringing real presence to any digital space. For years, we've talked about creating this digital representation of the world, but now we actually have the opportunity to go into that world and participate in it. What's most important is that we are able to bring our humanity with us and choose how we want to experience this world and who we want to interact with. I can't overstate how much of a breakthrough this is. It's no longer just looking at a camera view of a factory floor. You can be on the floor. It's no longer just video conferencing with colleagues. You can be with them in the same room. It's no longer just playing a game with friends. You can be in the game with them.
So you can see here that Microsoft is big on this metaverse thing as well. And from what you just saw in here, just imagine if they wanted to put something on the wall, right? Maybe they wanted to put a collectible on the wall. That's essentially an NFT that they could buy or license or rent from someone. Maybe the clothing that they're wearing, maybe the headphones, the accessories, all of these things. I see metaverse, enterprise metaverse that Microsoft is now getting into, and I can't help but connect it back to NFTs and VeVe in some way, shape, or form. Now, I don't believe that VeVe's verse or the VeVeverse is going to be a popular metaverse, my opinion. I think the metaverse is going to be dominated by a lot of the larger companies, Facebook, Microsoft, Google potentially, Disney, etc. I don't think VeVe is going to be able to compete here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But Microsoft's not the only one that's trying to bring this into the enterprise as well. Look at what NVIDIA is doing with the Omniverse, and if you haven't seen the clip from NVIDIA, again, let's watch that real quick. It's super cool, right? You're seeing all of these 3D things that are happening, and I know you're watching this and you're saying, but what can I do with this, right? But think about, again, when you saw websites for the first time, there was really no utility behind websites. We went to these websites, there was interesting information, and then came e-commerce. And then a few years after that, e-commerce became the dominant way by which we are buying and selling things. So put yourself again in this metaverse and understand that maybe 10 years from now, things are going to happen probably more in the metaverse than in the real world. So again, think about it from that perspective. What can you do with these premium digital collectibles when you bring them to the metaverse? How can you use them? What is going to be the use case? We probably don't know yet. But what we do know is that this metaverse that's getting created, these digital assets are going to have a significant play in them, not just for people that like to collect, but also for enterprise. For the enterprise tech, it's going to have its own space. So do I believe that VeVe is going to be the next Netflix? I don't believe so. I don't believe so for a variety of reasons. In my opinion, the age of companies being able to escape with an idea, like Netflix was able to escape with an idea, like Amazon was able to escape with an idea, in my opinion, these times are gone. See, the challenge, or what Netflix and Amazon in particular were able to do, they took a gamble on something that the older generation just didn't believe in. Just like today, maybe you and I don't really believe in NFTs. Back then, no one believed that a company like Netflix would essentially run Blockbuster out of business, that owned all of these video stores with people going to Blockbuster on a day in and day out basis. A streaming company was able to reinvented essentially that particular industry. But Netflix did that because the people that were in charge of Blockbuster, that generation didn't see it. Netflix did. Amazon was able to disrupt retailers like Walmart that are still unable to catch up today because they didn't see e-commerce, or they saw e-commerce too late. Amazon took companies like Borders out of business. Again, bookstores, Barnes & Noble, they're still around, but kind of here and there. Disrupted Walmart and e-commerce, etc. Because the generation that was running them just didn't see it. And by the time they saw it, it was already too late. They had become giants. What's going on today, and what we're seeing from these metaverses, these companies are not going to make that mistake again with the metaverses, with the NFTs, which is why I personally don't believe that VeVe is going to be another Netflix. I believe VeVe will get acquired, and VeVe will get acquired in the not too distant future. Based on the number of users, the number of subscribers that they're adding, the premium licenses that they have, there is no way this company, with the management team that it has, with David Yu at the helm, with someone Alfred Kahn, by the time they have Pokemon, by the time they have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I would venture to say that in the next 3 years, someone buys VeVe. And there's a lot of suitors, right? Now, given these folks' relationships, it wouldn't be too far to think Nintendo might pick up VeVe. If not Nintendo, maybe Sony. Not Sony? Why not Microsoft? And when I say Microsoft, don't automatically think of Microsoft in the enterprise software space. Think Microsoft Xbox. That's potentially a platform that they can acquire, jumpstart their ability to get in on the action. Maybe Disney acquires them, maybe Disney does not acquire them, but Disney is another suitor. We know that Nike's looking into a metaverse, so why not potentially Adidas? So the point here is that the amount of organizations that could acquire VeVe is unlimited. But to think for a second that VeVe, this small company, is going to be able to compete with all of the others that have the money, the financial backing, if VeVe has 20 developers or ECOMI has 20 developers, Microsoft has 5,000, just to put things in perspective. So their ability to have longevity, in my opinion, is not there. I also look at the team. Again, if I look at David Yu, he just strikes me as a VC guy. He's going to build the heck out of this thing, and at some point he's going to sell it. So this is why I love this project. There's so much going on. They've got a secure wallet. It's a hardware wallet. Good luck finding it. It's always sold out. They're moving on to Immutable X layer 2 Ethereum. That's going to give it a lot of things to do. The management team is awesome. They communicate very well. There are some challenges with VeVe. I think there's just too many coins in circulation that they're trying to address with utility and other things, and they've had hiccups and maybe a slow start. But to me, again, to wrap this up, VeVe, or OMI in particular, is the only crypto project that has a fresh, unique idea and utility behind it that makes sense why you would want to use the blockchain to establish authenticity and establish ownership. I hope this information was useful. You enjoyed it. You learned something about OMI. Maybe do your own research. Maybe you'll be interested in joining me as an investor in OMI as well. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.